All right, Dolphin fans, here we go. Week 4. Now, despite the fact, or other than the fact, that this is obviously at Buffalo, I'd like to bring to your attention a statistic I unearthed this morning in which, since Dan Marino has retired, since the Great 13 retired, the Dolphins are 0-4 after starting the season 3-0. Every time since Marino has retired that we have started the season 3-0, we have immediately gone to 3-1. Now, what do we need to see today? Well, a couple things. Jalen Phillips is out. Andrew Van Ginkel is in. I'm not upset or disappointed or worried about that. Van Ginkel looked really good when he was filling in for Phillips against the Patriots. So I'm not really even seeing that too much as a loss, all due respect to Phillips. We already know about Craycraft and Izukoma being out, so that's going to give Cedric Wilson possibly an opportunity and, of course, chosen. Connor Williams is not going to play, and that's... Well, if you've been a fan of this channel, you know how I feel about Liam Eichenberg, but we are going to give him a fresh start. Yeah. You guys remember the movie with the other guys, with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell? And he needs a couple of fresh starts. We're going to give Liam Eichenberg one more fresh start, dude. Okay? Last week he came in. He didn't look terrible, but my grandma could have run through some of the holes, so it's really kind of hard to tell. He did have a couple of high snaps. Last thing we need is to be in a really nip-and-tuck close game against the Bills and to have it get blown on a bad snap. So, way back in the middle of the offseason, I made a video complaining about the possibility that Eichenberg was possibly the backup center. He is the backup center. Just give us adequate, okay? That's all we're asking here, all right? The rest of the guys on the offensive line can do the job. We don't know, or I haven't heard as of this moment about Teron Armstead. Cross fingers. Hope. Hey, look, it would be very good for this team if Eichenberg can at least just raise your level of play to average. Can you give us that today? Meanwhile, weather is not going to be a factor, so that makes everybody happy, sort of, right? The Bills fans are happy that the game is not in Miami right now. And I think we play the Bills late in the season. Might be the last game of the year. Don't remember exactly, but the point is we won't be playing them in the snow. So there's that. No big surprise, I'm picking the Dolphins, but I'm going to pick the Dolphins until they lose, and then I'll probably just keep picking them anyway. But what we need to see today is, number one, is the run. Are we really for real? We're going to get a chance to prove it without Williams, right? Going to get a chance to really prove if the rest of the offensive line is as good as they've looked. And then, of course, our defense. Josh Allen is not an incapable quarterback. Some people might not think he's elite. Josh Allen probably thinks he's elite. We know he's prone to making the mistakes. So my idea for this game is make them go down the field. Don't give them the big plays. Make them go dink and dunk and dunk and dink and 4 or 5 yards a play and then try to hold them to field goals. If we can do that, we could shorten the game. Bills could have some long drives. But if they only get 3, I think that's going to be the key to this game. I think Miami should come out on top. They need to come out on top. Because the difference between winning and losing this game, and I know it's early, but it doesn't matter when you lose the games. It's if you lose the games. Dolphins win this game. They have the inside track to the top seed in the AFC. They have a 2-game lead on Buffalo, and we've started 4-0 with 3 of the first 4 on the road. Massive, ridiculous difference between if we lose this game, we're 3-1 and Buffalo's in first place with the tiebreaker. Can't say it any more clear than that. Let's go, Dolphins. Like I keep saying, please. I don't want to get to game 14, 15 asking them to prove to me if they're still for real, right? Dolphin fans, we've been 3-0 plenty of times. Those 4 times that we've been 3-0, only last year was even the time we made the playoffs. Other than last year, the previous 3 times that we started off 3 in a row, we didn't even make the playoffs. Dolphins, prove to me that it's going to be different. All right, look, here's the deal with Dolphin fans. Now, it's just halftime. It's 31-14 at halftime. What I would like to say to those of you who are probably, let's say, under the age of 30, maybe 35, but definitely if you're under the age of 30. I'm 52, and that first half for the Dolphins is, if you took a tape, if you took the film from our games in the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 40, not 50, because in the 70s we could beat Buffalo. But if you took the tape from the last 40 years of Miami at Buffalo, when it's an important game, there's no difference. And I mean no difference. There's, oh look, we might be able to keep up with them, but then we can't because our defense can't stop them, and here comes the fumbles and the mistakes and the almost interceptions until they start turning into interceptions. And by the way, the injuries. It's I can't even be upset. I can't. And I don't mean like I hate losing, but like for you fellas that are married, especially if you've been married 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you know precisely and exactly what your wife is going to do if you say this, if you say that, if you go do this. You know exactly. There's no surprises. You know what she's going to do. I give to you 31-14 Buffalo at halftime. Now I'm going to sit here and let me guess. 48, maybe 31. Final score Buffalo. Sitting here, that sounds about right. 48-31. What do we got? We got 14 till 21. Yeah, we might get some late game garbage. 48-31. I'll call that now. Look, we'll be 3-1. We'll make the wild card game. Maybe we'll win a playoff game. But until and unless and until this team learns to win big games on the road when it counts against division opponents, we will forever be stepsisters and little brothers and just not quite good enough. So we're at the 2-minute warning right now. It's 48-20. I'm going to assume we won't give up another touchdown to make it 55-20. I'm pretty sure Buffalo's going to take a knee, but Kyle wanted to turn on, I believe it's the Colts might go to overtime here. And let's face it, it's not been fun. Now, there's an argument on Twitter going on right now. Let me preface this by saying I'm not, and I don't mean this this is not disparaging anybody. There are 2 different kinds of Dolphin fans, okay? Doesn't matter which kind you are, but there are 2. There's old school like me who have been there, done that, seen it. And then there's the new generation of Dolphin fans that somehow, like my son who's 24, watch these games and don't see it for what it is, and then maybe still think this team has a chance to beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Now, that's okay, because when I was that age, I'll tell you a story. 1991, I believe it was, I was still in the United States Air Force, and the Dolphins were playing the Bills at Buffalo in the playoffs, and every single person I could find, I bet $50 that the Dolphins were going to win that game, and I ended up owing my fellow airmen $2,000 after the game went almost exactly like this one, which is to say, we started it out and we looked like we were going to be able to keep up with them, even though our defense could not stop them. And then Buffalo would open up a lead, and then we'd make a couple of plays to make it look like we could come back and we get some points, and then a turnover or an interception would happen. Buffalo would get a quick touchdown, put the game away, exactly like what happened here today. That has played out, and the argument that's going on Twitter right now is there are people saying, don't you dare say same old Dolphins. But the same people are just saying, well, say about the Dolphins, they're saying we're just not there yet. That's the same thing as same old Dolphins. It just sounds nicer. They're not there yet. It's the same old Dolphins. We can beat up on the crap teams and occasionally win a game against good teams. But when the chips are on the table and we have to play the best teams in the league on the road in the important games, we will shit the bed just about every time. Just about every time. Same old Dolphins is what it is. Now, will they have an opportunity? Sure. The schedule the next few weeks probably can get to 4, maybe even 5-1. Okay, they're going to have an opportunity. This team is going to make the playoffs. I don't know if we're going to win the division because we can't be. I mean, we couldn't even it's worse. It's worse. We got Vic Fangio to make the defense better. It's worse. The 2 times we've played decent offenses in the Chargers and the Bills, the defense has pretty much gotten shredded, okay? We even gave up a couple of late drives to the Patriots to make their offense look capable. The Broncos, we scored 70, but it wasn't like it was 70-0. This defense has massive problems, and right at this point, we don't know if it's personnel, design, coaching. Cater Kohu just completely got destroyed by Stephon Diggs today, but it's Stephon Diggs. A lot of people want to know why X was not covering him. Can we be honest? Has X looked like a shutdown corner with a game here, a game there? But I don't think this game goes any differently if X is on Stephon Diggs. We weren't really getting much pressure, and when we did get pressure, Allen does what Allen does, which is scramble around, find the open guy, and we've seen this movie before. So as much as I see, there's what I notice in the fan base is that those of us like me who will say same old Dolphins, there's the other half of the fan base is you don't believe in the team. You think the team stinks. You don't have any heart. You're not a real fan. No, the opposite is actually true. We're such real fans that we've suffered for so long that we don't buy the bullshit when they're 3-0 until they prove to us that they can do what they cannot do, which is go into Buffalo, go into Kansas City, go into Cincinnati, and win a game with the season on the line. Now, this was not the season on the line, but that just makes it worse. The Buffalo annihilated us today. It was 48-20. If it wasn't for the fact that we have a ridiculous offense, this could have been 70-20. It just was bad. As bad as we beat the crap out of Denver last week, that's what Buffalo just did to us. And I know there will be people in the comments who want to be critical about that. That's fine, but it's also reality, okay? The reality is this team hasn't won a playoff game in how long? Go look it up, okay? Most of them, if you're 22, 24 years old, 23, if you're 20-ish, you probably haven't been alive or paying attention the last time this team won a playoff game. So excuse the rest of us old-timers who are going to sit back and say, when you prove to me that you can win, I will believe that you can win. I had hopes going in today, but I knew it. I saw it. As soon as we saw Buffalo go down there and get a touchdown, and then we got a touchdown, and then they got a touchdown. Soon it was just 14-7. Even though we did tie it 14-14, you knew. Anybody who's been a Dolphin fan for more than 5 minutes either knew or should have known that how this was going to go was that eventually Buffalo was going to figure out a way to stop us, and we were not going to figure out a way to stop Buffalo. So for everybody on Twitter saying, don't worry, it's just one game, yada yada, for a little while you're going to be correct until we play the next real team. I think we got the Giants and the Panthers, or the Panthers and the Giants. I forget the order. So barring some ridiculous stupidity, we should be 5-1, and then everybody will say, see, we're real, see, we're real. No, I don't care how many games we win. We're not real until we can win a big game against an opponent that on paper might be better than us when it matters. And until we can do that, same old offense. That's it. In terms of the play on the field, the defense was absolute ass. The offensive line wasn't that bad considering Eichenberg was in for Connor Williams. Why did we even sign Armstead? I mean, I know the guy is one of the best left tackles in the game for the 1 out of every 4 games that he might be able to play in and or slash finish. I mean, enough is enough, right? Lamb is adequate. We need to stop worrying about if Armstead is even on the field or not, because the guy can't stay healthy, and it's a shame. You could see it on his face. He knows it. His body's giving out on him. It is not a plan. It's not a feasible way into the future. We still have some holes. Cater got smoked today for the most part, but up until today, I don't think he's had a game where he's really gotten smoked. It happens. I'm not going to bail on him. The tackling, my dead grandmother, both my dead grandmothers, you could raise them from the dead, put them on the field, and they would have tackled with the same tenacity and ability as the Dolphins did today. Okay? In fact, throw my grandfather in there and a couple of the dogs, let's dig them up, put them out there on the field, and I guarantee you, you would have got the same result. So the defense was absolute ass. And the offense, we need to have a run-pass balance. Okay? Number one. You can't do that when you're 2, 3, 4 scores behind all day. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Mostert, that was a nice 3 games, but could you hold on to the ball? That's not okay. The one fumble, we get it back. Then he does it again. We lose it. It leads to a field goal right before halftime. Bad all the way around. Tua did not have a good game. Look, here's what I'll say about Tua. Tua is completely capable of taking a team and winning a Super Bowl. Okay? Today was not great, but when you're 2 and you're 3 scores down, you start to press. You're going to make decisions that you would not normally make. I'm not going to bail on Tua here. This game is not on Mostert's fumble. This game is not on Tua's performance. It was good enough to win at least 8 of the other 10, 8 out of 10 times. This is the defense. Okay? Let's not forget, Dolphin fans who want to say that this team is real and they've proven they're real. Come on. We had to bring out the 0 blitz to save our ass from the Chargers coming back and scoring and winning a game. You see what I'm saying? And Fangio is only here because we didn't want to rely on the 0 blitz. All right? We've got a good team. What are we going to win? 11 games? Maybe we'll win 11, 12. I don't know if we can win the division. But when it comes to playing the cream of the crop, we almost beat Buffalo in the playoffs last year. They still got 34 on us that day, though, okay? If we can't stop their offense, and most of you that are watching, or at least some of you that are watching based on the analytics, were not even alive in those mid-'80s and early '90s when it was the same exact thing, only it was Jim Kelly, and it was Andre Reed, and it was Don Beebe. For fuck's sake, Don Beebe. We could never cover Don Beebe. And then Thurman Thomas. If we did cover somebody, Thurman Thomas would rip us a new ass. It's the same thing. And Marino would have the same game. Back and forth and back and forth. But then suddenly Buffalo would find a way to slow us down, and we would never slow them down. So we'd be behind by 10, then it would be 17, and then we'd get a field goal, and we'd only be behind by 14, and we'd go, hey, maybe if, and then we'd get a stop, and then we'd get the ball, and then Marino would throw an interception, and then the first play back, Kelly would hit Reed for 50 yards, touchdown, end of game. It's the same script. It may as well be scripted. It's the same exact thing. We should be 5-1. We should be 5-1, and that will get everybody's brainwashed and going, we're going to win the Super Bowl and number one in the power rankings or number two. Well, we'll be 5-1. Don't worry about it. That's going to happen. But until and unless it changes, I'm sorry. It's the same old Dolphins.